My wife and I own a house in western North Carolina. I'm a campus police officer. She's a home builder salesperson, and we have a happy life. We're not rich, but we live comfortably and enjoy the fact that it's just us two and our dog, a miniature collie named Classy. I just wanted to give a rundown of our life and try to paint the picture that in these 3 years we've been married, we've had a simple, happy life. Until recently, at least. There's one house to the right of ours. It's relatively close, and we pretty much share a yard, if it wasn't for the fact that we had a chain link fence installed. The couple that lived there was young, like us, and really cool. We never really hung out or anything, but we would stop and chat and generally get along. They didn't mind when we had a fence put up, so we could let our dog run free, and we would help each other out if needed. Unfortunately, they moved out, and the surprisingly stressful process of waiting to see who would move in began. We saw a lot of people come and see the house, a lot of old people, since it's generally a nice neighborhood full of old people. A few middle-aged, a few young. Ultimately, the deal was made with a 30-something couple. Then, the house was quiet. Out of curiosity, we messaged the former owners and asked if the deal fell through or something, since we hadn't seen anyone move in. They explained it didn't. They just seemed to be taking their time moving in. A few weeks would go by, and we never see a car or a moving van outside the house. Then suddenly, one night, a couple rings our door and introduces themselves as the owners of the house. They were plenty friendly, almost overly so. My wife and I answered the door together, and were met by a decent-looking blonde, kind of pale couple. They explained they moved in quickly that morning, and we must have just missed them. It was mostly small talk about the move and typical welcome to the neighborhood type banter, and they were on their way. Now, a few things about them just didn't sit right with me. Maybe it's just intuition or paranoia, but after a few years of doing the job that I do, I tend to be able to read people at least somewhat right. The first thing that weirded me out was the fact that they were both smiling, nonstop. Not some impossibly wide smile, but a big, cheesy, toothy smile that lasted the entire conversation. The other thing that got under my skin was how the conversation started. I can't remember it verbatim, but this is the gist of it. Hi, I'm Alice, and this is Adam. We just moved in next door, so we're your new neighbors. You must be the, family, Brian and Christine. Wow, Christine, you smell really nice, Alice said, staring at my wife. You're right, Alice. She smells fantastic, Adam added. It just seemed really weird that they seemed so focused on how my wife smelled. I could understand how they got our names, because maybe they just checked us out online before buying the place, and still, it was a little unsettling. Either way, I took it upon myself to keep an eye on them. They seemed remotely normal, always stopped to talk to us if they saw us, and kept up their yard, the normal stuff. If I ran into one of them alone, they would always ask if Christine was home, then say that we should all get together for dinner or something some night. They were weirdos, but they seemed harmless. Weeks go by, and strange small talk continued, but nothing bad happened. Until one night. I get a call from my wife while I'm at work. I work at a college campus that's about an hour away from our house, so if anything bad happens, I can't get home quick, which sucks. My wife feels safer with our little pup around, even if he is harmless, because he at least barks at anything that moves around the house. So anyway, I get a call from her, and she explains she came home and our dog was gone. I work second shift, and I know he was there when I left. But she, of course, questioned me repeatedly about if I let him in, or if I let him out, or something. But I know he was there when I left, because he always barks angrily at me for leaving. She's panicking because, of course, that's our little boy, but I try to keep her calm, ask her if it looks like there's been anyone in the house or any signs of forced entry. She says everything looks normal, but in her panicking state, I know she could be missing something. I tell her to go to her parents' house, just in case. And when I get home, I'll do a double check, and we'll go from there. Long story short, I get home. Don't find any sign of forced entry or any intruder. I explained to her that we can't call the police because there's no evidence that anything criminal took place. They'll just assume we accidentally left it out, and that would be the end of it. We went through the normal routine of putting up signs, asking all of our neighbors, but no one saw anything. When I asked Alice if she saw anything, she just said, all the while smiling, "Oh, that little dog that barks at everything that moves? I didn't see anything, but I sure hope nothing happened to it. Tell Christine we should get together soon." And close the door. This was, of course, the oddest response. But it didn't give us any answers, because every encounter with them had been weird. A few days passed, and we were beginning to lose hope. My wife was depressed about it, but she's a strong-willed woman, and was able to keep herself together enough to make life keep moving. She was finally almost back to normal, when something else happened, and completely ruined that sense of normality. I get home from work one night, at around 1 a.m., which is a little later than usual, but not much. My wife is fast asleep, which is to be expected since she's normally in bed by 10. I kiss her on the couch and tell her that I'm home. She rolls over groggily and says, "Where did you go?" Confused, I responded, "I was at work. Where else would I be? I had to stay a little late." Her eyes grew wide, and her color drained, and her face twisted into an expression of pure horror that I had never seen in the almost 10 years that I knew her. I turned the lights on and asked, "What's wrong?" "You were just in here a few hours ago. You rubbed my thigh and said, 'You'll be seeing me soon,' then kissed my neck. I thought you just got home and had to go to the store or something." She was shivering, and the words came out in stutters. It wasn't long before the tears were flowing. I know, it's crazy to jump to solutions that my neighbors broke into my house, but their weird behavior and the fact that nothing had happened in the 3 years we lived here before they moved in has me more than a bit concerned. I apologize that this is so long and written more like a Wikipedia page than a story, but I wanted to get a lot of background in here. I don't know if anything else will happen. I truly hope not. My wife is terrified. I'm terrified of leaving her alone. If anything happens, I'll update. I just wanted to get it all out. If you guys have any suggestions about how I should go forward, I'm all ears.